Okay, so this is just the two engines put side by side. On one cylinder short, I've got a decent cylinder head for it. The two casings, I think I can get around not needing a third casing. I think I can pull that off. The cylinders are in rough shape, like they're quite rusty, quite dirty. I've power washed them as best as I can, cleaned them with industrial cleaner, and this is as clean as it gets. So I think what I might do is clean up all the main surfaces inside, not worry about the outside just now, and then once it runs, then strip it down and either get a hold of something that can clean it. Sandblaster would be the ideal, bead blaster, or possibly one of those little ultrasonic cleaners. My son has one and he swears by it, and that might actually do the job. That might be the way to go. Anyway, it's got me really excited. I've taken some measurements and things just for in my head to figure things out, and I think it's all going to come together. I've got space to play with here between these two casings and also between these two heads, because they're almost side by side on the engine. So this one can come in probably about half an inch. So I think I've got half an inch to play with. The casings are really nice. The casings are in good shape. No sign of any damage, no sign of any wear. Dirty, but otherwise not too bad. Different case for inside the pistons, because there's obviously where in this head here a piston is melted down because there's melted aluminum on the casing on the casing on the inside of the piston. That comes off. Like I have a little hone here, and it took most of those pieces off, and I also managed to pry it with an X-Acto blade, and the pieces came off. So it's not the wall of the bore, which is what I was worried. I wasn't sure if they were Nickersill. I don't think they are. I have a feeling that they're just cast. So I think there's potential to, I wouldn't need to knock the liners out and put new liners in. Anyway, it's pretty exciting. As I said to a friend earlier, I think it's a reality. Here's the carbs. I've got 4 carbs. This one's in rough shape here. The piston is jammed, and also the choke cylinder wouldn't come out. In fact, it broke off inside. So these ones aren't too bad, but having checked on eBay for about $50 a pop, I could probably buy 4 new carbs and not have any hassle and not have to play around with cleaning everything. So that's a thought at the moment. Obviously there's other things like the reed cages. These ones aren't bad, but they're pretty dirty, and they're probably pretty well worn. And if any of those pistons have gone, well, this one's twisted. Oh, well, maybe they're no. They've seen better days, I think. So, again, these are consumable parts that are probably just as well replaced. And that, I think, is probably going to be worth it. Again, because it's a 550 fan, they're not overly deadly, and I can probably pick them up through Royal or possibly eBay. We'll see how that goes. Rubber boots, obviously, stuff like that. Those are all perishable. There's one through with the carbs that's it's seen a lot better days. Here's the rubber boot here. As you can see, it ain't gonna, not even hockey tape's gonna fix that. So we need 4 of those, and again they fit in over the top of the reeds, so gonna be well worth changing those out and probably going with new. But as I say, the main expense of the whole thing is the 2 cranks and the actual chain cases and bodywork. And the bearings seem okay on the cranks, but to be honest, if I strip these down, I may be as well just to put in new bearings when I do it, and then it'll be one less thing to think about. Once the engine runs, then you know, we'll be way ahead of the game. I think I said in another video that this crank here shows that the top of these crank rods have been kind of burnt. I think they've obviously really overheated. They're quite pitted, this one especially. So we'll see what the story is. You know, that they can probably work, but they could create a catastrophic failure, which is going to be a bit of a shame if this thing all gets together and really works. Now, I have a spare crankcase, but I don't want to ruin it, just in case. So I had a little experiment here of cutting, and my bandsaw cut like a darling, like just a beautiful job. Balanced it up, eyeballed it, looking for as straight a cut as possible. I've given myself quite a bit of leeway because I want to be at exactly half of these holes, which I will scribe. And as the holes will be my marker, that's the plan. And I'll use probably I'll turn a pin that fits the hole, and when the 2 holes fit together and I clamp it, and then I can grind back and weld from there. And I think that's going to be the way I'm going to get the accuracy I need in the crankcase. So I'm very, very, very pleased with it. And that was easy. I just had to cut off this lug here. Now, I will doctor this up so it looks like a legit engine. When these 2 halves weld together, I think it's going to look like it's meant to be. So again, that was a good little experiment and it worked well. I'm very pleased with that. quite pleased with this. This is, again, this is just a test run. I've left these slightly wide. I would mill this down to half, and then weld it, and then I say I'll put pins in, weld it, rebore the holes, and then we should be good, and basically die grind off all the rough bits and pieces and everything. So I am really pleased with that. That is like, oh my goodness, this little machine, I love it. I was worried it might not fit in. It just gets in there. We've got a lot of headspace going there with the chuck and everything, and the fly cutter, but oh my goodness, it's like, that's so nice. This little bit here, I'm not really too worried about that. That's going to disappear in the weld, but I still have to come down, possibly, maybe a mil, I don't know. Not too much. I'd have to measure this. As I say, this is my spare one, so this is my dummy run to see how to do it and what to do. But at the moment, I'm really pleased. I am so chuffed to bits that it was held square in the vise. I double checked the face of it with the off the face of the vise with the, and it is so good. Like, really, really nice. So happy. So there we go. I think this is I think this project is in reality, so I'm pretty pleased. One of the issues is going to be the cylinders. This one's quite badly scored. The others, I think, are just a little bit rusty, but so I was looking for one cylinder, but I might be looking for two. If all else fails, I might have to go to eBay and hope that I can pick up something that isn't too scored and beat up. It's actually workable. Anyway, that's all part of the project, and I was aware of that, and I was excited by it. Like, this doesn't waver me at all. This is what I expected. I really don't want to go and put these out to get new sleeves in them. That would be getting kind of expensive, and I don't know if anybody would be very chuffed if I sent them this scabby old piston, scabby old cylinder, should I say. But I know they do them. So anyway, that's more on the project. I got a nice piece of steel plate here. This will be ideal for bolting the setting up the cylinder heads and bolting them down onto it. I'll clean this up on the mill and run a fly cutter over it and get it nice and level, and then that can be my base for tying the crankcases together on. As a little experiment, I took an old piston that was really scored and turned it down by the thickness, which I don't know, what, about 20 thou or something like that. I turned it down, and thickness of 320 sandpaper, emery cloth, and I superglued the emery cloth to the piston and used it to clean up one of the bores, just to see what the state of the bore was, and that was that bad one. It was really rusted. Now, it took a lot of stuff off, and as you can see, it weathered reasonably well, but it worked. It did the job. For some reason, it was a little stiff in the middle, but I think that was because of the amount of melted aluminum in the sleeve that I hadn't managed to get scraped off. So Anyway, trying to make do and mend up here in our remote location.